Roman's calloused hands gripped the wrench tight as he worked under the hood of the '68 Mustang. Oil stained his knuckles black, but his movements stayed precise. Each turn calculated, each adjustment deliberate. The engine needed fixing, and Roman fixed things properly the first time. The garage radio crackled with afternoon talk shows. Roman ignored the noise. He focused on the carburetor, checking fuel lines and vacuum hoses. Work made sense. Engines followed rules. You could trust metal and pistons. People were different. The kitchen door slammed somewhere behind him. Roman didn't look up. Hallie's voice drifted across the driveway, sweet as poison honey. "Roman, baby, you've been out there all day." He grunted, tightening a bolt. The Mustang's owner needed it back by Friday. Roman kept his promises. "I made sweet tea," Hallie continued. Junie helped. Roman straightened, wiping his hands on an old rag. His wife stood in the doorway wearing a yellow sundress. Pretty as the day he married her. Pretty as a copperhead coiled in tall grass. "Thanks," he said, Hallie's smile stretched too wide. "You worked so hard for us." Roman nodded toward the house. "Where's Junie?" Drawing in her room. "You know how she gets with those pencils." Roman didn't know. Junie drew when things bothered her. She drew when her mother raised her voice. She drew when the house felt heavy with unspoken words that he followed Hallie inside. The kitchen smelled like lemon cleaner and something else. Something wrong. Roman's nose twitched. Military training taught him to notice details. This detail made his jaw clench. Cologne. Not his. Hallie poured tea from a pitcher, ice cubes clinking. Clayton stopped by earlier. Said the Peterson boy got arrested again. Roman watched her hands. Steady. Practiced. What for? Drugs. Poor Sandra must be heartbroken. Roman sipped his tea. Cold. Sweet. Normal. But Hallie's phone buzzed on the counter. She grabbed it fast, checking the screen. Her cheeks flushed pink. "Work?" Roman asked. "Just Mom. You know how she worries." Roman knew Irma Whitlock. The woman worried about money and appearances. Not her daughter's happiness. And Irma never texted. She called and talked for hours. Hallie tucked the phone in her pocket. "I should check on Junie." She left the kitchen. Roman finished his tea, studying the empty glass. The house felt different lately. Tense. Like the air before a thunderstorm. 20 minutes later, Roman heard Hallie's laugh from the living room. He walked past the doorway and saw her on the couch. Phone pressed to her ear. Smiling. "I can't wait either," she whispered. "Tomorrow will be perfect." Roman kept walking. Up the stairs. Down the hall. To Junie's room. His daughter sat cross-legged on her bed, sketchbook balanced on her knees. 12 years old and wise beyond her years. Dark hair fell across her face as she worked. "Whatcha drawing, kiddo?" Junie looked up. Green eyes just like his. "A horse." Roman sat on the bed's edge. The drawing showed a wild Mustang running across open plains. Free. Fast. Beautiful. "Looks good," Roman said. "Real good." Junie smiled. The first genuine smile Roman had seen all day. "Mom says I draw too much." "Your mom's wrong. She says I need friends. Real friends. Not imaginary ones." Roman studied his daughter's face. Pale. Thin. Dark circles under her eyes. "You feeling okay?" "Just tired." Roman touched her forehead. "Cool. Not feverish." "You eating enough?" "Yeah, Dad." But her lunchbox came home full most days. And Hallie complained about grocery bills while cooking smaller portions. "Dad." Junie's voice got quiet. "Can I ask you something?" "Always." "Do you think people can change?" "Like really change?" Roman considered the question. In Afghanistan, he'd seen good men do terrible things. He'd seen cowards find courage. But he'd also seen evil dressed up as virtue. "Some can," he said. "Others just get better at hiding who they really are." Junie nodded like she understood. Like she'd already learned that lesson. From downstairs came the sound of Hallie's laughter. Bright. Musical. False as a $3 bill. Roman kissed Junie's forehead. "Get some rest, kiddo. School tomorrow." He headed downstairs. The living room was empty. Hallie's phone sat on the coffee table. Screen dark. Silent. Roman found her in the kitchen, washing dishes. Her hands moved fast. Nervous. "Who was on the phone?" he asked. "I told you." "Mom." Sounded like you were making plans. Hallie's shoulders tensed. Just lunch. Girl's day out. Roman leaned against the counter. Watched his wife scrub a clean plate. Haven't seen Irma in weeks. She's been busy. With what? Hallie dropped the plate. It hit the sink with a sharp crack. Why are you interrogating me? Not interrogating. Just talking. Feels like interrogating. Roman crossed his arms. Maybe you got something to hide. Hallie spun around. Eyes blazing. I don't have to explain every phone call to you, Roman. I'm not one of your Marine recruits. Never said you were. Then stop treating me like one. Roman studied her face. The woman he married was still there. Somewhere under the anger and the lies. But she was buried deep. I'm going to bed, Hallie said. Some of us don't have the luxury of staying up all night. She brushed past him. Hard. Intentional. Roman listened to her footsteps on the stairs. The bedroom door slammed. Roman stood alone in the kitchen. The house settled around him. Old wood creaking. Pipes ticking. Normal sounds that felt wrong tonight. He walked to the window. Stared out at the street. Norwood, Nebraska. Population 15,000. The kind of place where people knew their neighbors. Where secrets were hard to keep, but not impossible. Roman's phone buzzed. Text message from Clayton Ward. Heard Hallie's been hanging around the rusty anchor lately. Just thought you should know. Roman deleted the message. But the word stayed, burned in his mind. The rusty anchor. Dive bar on the wrong side of town. Place where married people went to meet people they shouldn't. Roman looked up at the bedroom window. The light was off. Hallie was probably already asleep. Or pretending to be. He'd been pretending too. Pretending their marriage wasn't broken. Pretending for Junie's sake. Pretending because he'd promised to love and honor until death do us part. But some promises got broken by the people who made them. Roman locked the front door. Checked the windows. Old habits from the military. Always secure your position. Tomorrow he'd work on the Mustang. Tomorrow he'd pretend everything was normal. But tonight, Roman Callahan stopped believing in second chances. Thursday morning hit Roman like a sledgehammer to the skull. The alarm screamed at 5 a.m. Hallie's side of the bed was already cold. Empty. He found a note on the kitchen counter written in her careful handwriting. Taking Mom to doctor appointment. Back tonight. H. Roman crumpled the note. Irma Whitlock was healthy as a horse and twice as mean. But arguing with ghosts was pointless. He made coffee and headed to the garage. The day stretched long and brutal. 3 oil changes. A transmission rebuild. A brake job that turned into a nightmare when the customer admitted he'd been driving with metal on metal for months. Roman's hand stayed steady, but his mind kept drifting. Where was Hallie really? His phone stayed silent all day. No calls. No texts. Nothing. Roman picked up Junie from school at 3:30. She climbed into his truck without a word. No smile. No chatter about her day. Everything okay? He asked. Mom didn't pack me lunch. Roman's grip tightened on the steering wheel. What did you eat? Nothing. Mrs. Patterson gave me her apple. Roman pulled into a McDonald's. Bought Junie a burger and fries. Watched her eat like she was starving. Mom forget to make breakfast too. Junie nodded. She left early. Before I got up, Roman's jaw worked. Next time you're hungry, you call me. Don't care where I am or what I'm doing. Okay, Dad. They drove home in silence. Roman's mind churned like the transmission he'd rebuilt. Hallie was pulling away. Fast. And she was taking her anger out on Junie. The house felt empty when they walked in. No cooking smells. No music. No life. Where's Mom? Junie asked. Doctor appointment with Grandma Irma. Junie made a face. She didn't like Irma any more than Roman did. Smart kid. Roman heated up leftover pizza for dinner. Helped Junie with homework. Watched her draw on her sketchbook. This time she drew a bird in a cage. The cage door was open, but the bird stayed inside. Why doesn't it fly away? Roman asked. Junie shrugged. Maybe it forgot how. Roman tucked her into bed at 9. She felt warm. Feverish. You getting sick, kiddo? Just tired. Roman brought her water and children's Tylenol. Get some rest. Call if you need anything. He was halfway down the hall when his phone rang. Emergency dispatch. Roman? This is Janet. We got a 6-car pileup on Highway 77. Gonna need you in your tow truck ASAP. Roman cursed under his breath. Give me 20 minutes. He checked on Junie, already asleep. Roman scribbled a note and left it on her nightstand. Emergency call. Back soon. Call my cell if you need me. Dad. The highway scene was chaos. Twisted metal. Broken glass. Ambulance lights, painting everything red and blue. Roman worked for 6 hours straight, pulling cars apart, clearing the road, saving lives that he got home at 4 a.m. Exhausted, dirty, ready to collapse. The house was dark except for a light upstairs. Junie's room. Roman climbed the stairs 2 at a time. Junie's door was open. Empty bed, covers thrown back. Panic hit like a punch to the gut. Junie. He checked the bathroom. Empty. His bedroom. Empty. Downstairs. Nothing. Then he heard it. Crying. Soft. Muffled. Roman followed the sound to the hall closet. Found Junie curled up inside. Shivering. Burning with fever. Jesus, baby, what happened? Junie looked up at him. Her hair was wrong. Matted. Crusty. The smell hit him next. Infection. Pus. Something terrible. My head hurts, she whispered. Roman lifted her carefully, carried her to the kitchen, turned on the light. What he saw made his vision go white. Junie's scalp was burned. Raw. Blistered. Hair stuck to infected skin. The wound was fresh. Hours old. Maybe less. Who did this? His voice came out like gravel. I fell, Junie said automatically. In the shower. Hit my head. Roman had seen enough wounds in Afghanistan to know the difference between an accident and intentional damage. This was intentional. Where's your mother? She came home around midnight. Said I was being dramatic. Told me to stop crying. Roman's hands shook as he reached for his truck keys. We're going to the hospital. Dad, I'm scared. I know, baby. But we got to get you fixed up. The emergency room at Norwood General was quiet at 4:30 a.m. Roman carried Junie through the automatic doors. The triage nurse took one look and called for a doctor. Miles Patterson, the head nurse, met them in Trauma Bay 3. Roman knew Miles from high school. Good man. Honest. Direct. Miles examined Junie's head with gentle hands. His face went stone cold. Roman, can I speak with you privately? They stepped outside the room. Miles closed the door. This didn't happen from a fall, Miles said. Someone poured boiling water on that child's head. Roman's vision tunneled. You sure? 20 years nursing. I've seen this before. The burn pattern is consistent with scalding liquid poured from above. How long ago? 4 to 6 hours based on the blistering. Roman did the math. Midnight, when Hallie came home. There's more, Miles said. I found older injuries. Bruises on her ribs. Finger marks on her arms. Different stages of healing. Roman's hands clenched into fists. How long? Months. Maybe longer. The world tilted sideways. Roman grabbed the wall for support. I have to call CPS, Miles said. Hospital protocol. Any suspected abuse gets reported. Roman nodded. He couldn't speak. Couldn't think. Could only see red. Roman? You okay? Yeah. The word came out wrong. Too quiet. Too controlled. Miles studied his face. Don't do anything stupid. Junie needs you thinking clear. Roman went back into the room. Junie was getting her head cleaned and bandaged. She looked so small on the hospital bed. So broken. Dad? Am I in trouble? No, baby. You're not in trouble. But someone was. The CPS worker arrived at dawn. Linda Marsh. Middle-aged. Professional. Kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. She interviewed Junie gently. Asked about home. About her parents. About how she got hurt. Junie stuck to the story. Fell in the shower. Accident. Nothing more. But Linda wasn't fooled any more than Miles had been. Mr. Callahan, we'll need to open a case file. Standard procedure. Roman signed the paperwork. Answer questions. Stayed calm and cooperative. Inside, he was planning murder. They drove home at 10 a.m. Junie dozed in the passenger seat, pain medication making her drowsy. Roman's mind raced ahead to the confrontation waiting at home, but the house was empty again. Hallie's car was gone. No note this time. Roman called her cell. Straight to voicemail. He carried Junie upstairs, tucked her into bed, brought her water and soup. Dad! Yeah, kiddo. I'm sorry. For what? For causing trouble. Roman knelt beside her bed. You didn't cause anything. You understand me? This is not your fault. Junie nodded, but Roman could see the guilt in her eyes. 12 years old and already taking blame for adult monsters. Roman kissed her forehead. Get some sleep. I'll be right downstairs. He went to his bedroom, opened the closet, found his old marine footlocker buried behind winter coats. Inside were things he'd hoped never to need again. Service pistol, knife, other tools of war. Roman stared at the weapons for a long time. Then he closed the footlocker and locked it tight. Junie needed a father, not a killer, but Hallie Whitlock Callahan had just declared war on the wrong man. Hallie didn't come home Thursday night. Roman sat in the living room until dawn, watching the street through parted curtains. Waiting, planning. The anger in his chest had crystallized into something harder. Something permanent. Friday morning, Junie's fever broke. Roman made her scrambled eggs and toast. She ate slowly, careful not to bump her bandaged head. Can I stay home from school? She asked. Doctor says you need rest. Good. I don't want anyone to see. Roman studied his daughter's face. Shame, fear, withdrawal. The same look he'd seen on abuse victims in refugee camps. Junie, listen to me. You got nothing to be ashamed of. I look like a monster. You look like someone who survived. That makes you strong. Junie touched her bandages. Will my hair grow back? Most of it. Might have some scars. Will you still love me if I'm ugly? The question hit Roman like shrapnel to the heart. Baby, you could be covered head to toe in scars, and I'd still think you were the most beautiful girl in the world. Junie smiled for the first time in days. Small, fragile, but reeled at Roman's phone buzzed. Text message from unknown number. Having coffee with mom. Back tonight. Don't wait up. H. Roman showed the message to Junie. Recognize this number? Junie shook her head. Mom got a new phone last week. Said her old one was broken. New phone. New number. New secrets. Roman dialed the number. It rang twice before man answered. Yeah. Deep voice. Rough. Not Irma Whitlock. Looking for Hallie, Roman said. Silence. Then a click. The line went dead. Roman stared at his phone. Pieces clicked together in his mind. The cologne. The late nights. The new phone. The lies. Hallie was having an affair. While their daughter lay in bed with infected burns, Hallie was in some other man's bed. Roman's vision went red around the edges. The doorbell rang. Roman opened the door to find Linda Marsh from CPS. She looked official in her gray suit and clipboard. Mr. Callahan, I need to conduct a home visit. Part of our investigation. Come in. Linda walked through the house methodically, checking smoke detectors, looking for safety hazards, making notes. Where's Mrs. Callahan? Out with her mother. When will she return? Tonight, supposedly. Linda raised an eyebrow at the word supposedly but didn't comment. May I speak with Junie? She's upstairs resting. They found Junie in bed, drawing in her sketchbook. This time she'd drawn a house with storm clouds overhead. Dark, threatening, ready to unleash destruction. Linda sat on the bed's edge. How are you feeling, honey? Better. Dad made me eggs. That's nice. Can you tell me about yesterday? How you got hurt? Junie's eyes flicked to Roman. He nodded encouragement. I fell in the shower. Must have been a bad fall. Yeah. Linda studied the drawing. You're very talented. What's this picture about? Just a house. Looks like a storm coming. Sometimes storms happen. Linda made notes. Asked gentle questions. Junie answered carefully, sticking to the accident story. After Linda left, Roman sat with Junie on her bed. You don't have to protect her, he said quietly. Protect who? Your mother. Junie's pencil stopped moving. I don't know what you mean. Yes, you do. Junie set down her sketchbook. If I tell the truth, what happens? Justice. What if I don't want justice? What if I just wanted to stop? Roman pulled his daughter close, careful of her injuries. Sometimes those are the same thing. That afternoon, Lorna Skell knocked on the front door. Roman's neighbor was 40 years old, divorced, former social worker. She lived alone in the blue house next door. Roman, I need to talk to you. They sat on his front porch. Lorna twisted her hands nervously. I saw the ambulance the other night. Is Junie okay? She will be. I heard her screaming Wednesday evening. Around midnight. Roman's attention sharpened. Screaming how? Like she was in pain. Real pain. I almost called 911. Why didn't you? Because it stopped. And then I heard Hallie yelling at her to be quiet. To stop being dramatic. Roman's jaw clenched. You hear anything else? Hallie's saying something about toughening up. That pain builds character. You willing to make a statement? Lorna nodded. I've been recording my doorbell camera since the Hendersons got robbed. I might have audio. I'd appreciate you checking. Lorna went home, returned 20 minutes later with her phone. Listen to this. The audio was fuzzy but clear enough. Junie's scream, high-pitched, terrified. Then Hallie's voice, sharp and angry. Toughen up. Grandma Irma's right. You need thicker skin. Stop crying, or I'll give you something real to cry about. Roman listened to the recording 3 times. Each playback made his hands shake worse. Can you email this to me? He asked. Already did. Roman looked at his neighbor. Really looked at her. Why are you helping? Because I was Junie once, and nobody helped me. That evening, Hallie came home. Roman was in the kitchen when her car pulled into the driveway. He didn't move, didn't prepare, just waited. Hallie walked through the front door like nothing had happened. Hair perfect, makeup fresh, dress unwrinkled. Hey, baby, she called. Miss me? Roman appeared in the doorway. Where you been? I told you. With Mom. For 2 days. Hallie set down her purse. She needed me. You know how she gets. Call the house. Irma said she hadn't seen you in weeks. Hallie's smile faltered. You called my mother? I called my wife's mother when my wife disappeared for 2 days. I didn't disappear. I left a note. Bullshit note. Bullshit story. Hallie's face hardened. Don't talk to me like that. Roman stepped closer. Our daughter almost died while you were playing house with some other man. What are you talking about? Junie. Hospital. Burns on her head. Ring any bells? Hallie's face went pale. She fell. I told her to be more careful in the shower. She didn't fall. Someone poured boiling water on her. That's ridiculous. Who would do such a thing? Roman stared at his wife. The woman he'd once loved. The mother of his child. Now he saw her clearly for the first time. You tell me. Hallie grabbed her purse. I don't have to listen to this. You're obviously having some kind of breakdown. Where are you going? Back to Mom's. Until you get help. Running away again. Hallie spun around. I'm not running from anything. I'm protecting myself from a paranoid, violent ex-soldier who's clearly lost his mind. Roman's hands clenched. Violent. Look at yourself, Roman. Look how you're standing. How you're breathing. You're scaring me. Roman looked down. He was standing at military attention, breathing controlled, ready for combat. You should be scared, he said quietly. Hallie backed toward the door. This isn't over. No, Roman agreed. It's not. She left. Roman stood alone in the kitchen, listening to her car disappear into the night. Upstairs, Junie called out. Dad, is everything okay? Roman climbed the stairs. Found his daughter sitting up in bed, sketchbook open. Everything's fine, kiddo. Where's Mom? Gone to Grandma Irma's. Junie nodded like she'd expected this. Are you and Mom getting divorced? Roman sat on the bed. Would that bother you? No. The answer came fast. Sure. I don't think she likes me very much. That's not your fault. I know. You taught me that. Roman kissed her forehead. Get some sleep. Dad. Yeah. I'm glad you're my father. Roman's throat tightened. Me too, baby. Me too. For 1 week, Roman and Junie lived in peace. Roman worked half days at the garage, coming home for lunch to check on his daughter. Junie's burns healed slowly but cleanly. Her appetite returned. She drew happier pictures. Houses with sunshine, birds flying free. Linda Marsh visited twice. Asked questions. Made notes. Seemed satisfied with Junie's care and the safe environment Roman provided. Roman slept better than he had in months. No arguments. No lies. No walking on eggshells around Hallie's moods. The calm felt too good to last. Tuesday morning at 7 a.m., it ended. Roman was making breakfast when car doors slammed outside. Multiple cars. He looked through the kitchen window and saw Hallie's blue sedan and Irma's white Buick parked sideways across his driveway. Both women climbed out. Hallie wore a black dress and heels. Irma carried a manila folder thick with papers. They marched up the front walk like an invading army. Roman opened the door before they could knock. Ladies, we need to talk, Irma announced. She pushed past Roman into the house. Hallie followed, avoiding eye contact. Roman closed the door. Junie's still sleeping. Good, Irma said. This is about her. They stood in the living room. Irma clutched her folder. Hallie twisted her wedding ring. Roman crossed his arms and waited. This has gone far enough, Irma began. You've turned my daughter against me. Poisoned my granddaughter's mind. Used some trumped-up accident to steal custody. Trumped up. Roman's voice stayed level. Your granddaughter has second-degree burns on her scalp. Children get hurt. That's life. But you've blown this completely out of proportion. Roman looked at Hallie. You told your mother Junie's burns were an accident? Hallie finally met his eyes. They were an accident. Bullshit. Don't use that language in front of my mother, Hallie snapped. Your mother's heard worse. Irma stepped forward. I've consulted with a lawyer, Roman. You have no legal right to keep Junie from her mother. CPS says different. CPS is investigating a false report. When they conclude their witch hunt, Hallie will have full custody. Roman studied the older woman. 61 years old. Gray hair pulled tight. Eyes cold as January. She'd raised Hallie to be selfish and manipulative. Now she was protecting her investment. What's in the folder? Roman asked. Irma smiled. Documentation of your mental instability. Your violent tendencies. Your unfitness as a parent. From who? Multiple sources. Your explosive temper. Your drinking problem. Your PTSD episodes. Roman almost laughed. I don't drink. I don't have episodes. And my temper's under perfect control. Is it? Hallie spoke up. Because you've been acting erratic lately. Paranoid. Aggressive. Aggressive how? Interrogating me. Following me. Threatening me. When did I threaten you? The other night. You said I should be scared. Roman nodded. I did say that. Because you should be. See. Hallie turned to her mother. He's completely unhinged. From upstairs came the sound of Junie's bedroom door opening. Footsteps in the hall. Dad. Junie's voice carried down the stairs. Who's here? Before Roman could answer, Hallie called out, It's Mommy, sweetheart. Mommy's come to take you home. Roman moved toward the stairs, but Irma blocked his path. She's coming with us, Irma declared. Like hell. You can't stop us. She's our blood. She's my daughter and my granddaughter. I have legal rights. Junie appeared at the top of the stairs. She wore pajamas, and her hair was hidden under a knit cap. The bandages were gone, but the healing burns were still visible around her hairline. She looked down at the adults in the living room. Her face went pale. Hi, Mom. Hello, baby. Pack your things. You're coming to stay with Grandma Irma and me. Junie didn't move. I want to stay with Dad. You don't have a choice, Irma said firmly. Children don't get to pick sides. She's not picking sides, Roman said. She's choosing safety. Safety. Hallie's voice rose. You think I'm dangerous? I think you poured boiling water on our daughter's head. The words hung in the air like a death sentence that Hallie's face went white. That's insane. I would never hurt Junie. Someone did. Someone who was here when it happened. It was an accident. Prove it. Irma stepped between them. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're creating a hostile environment, making wild accusations, traumatizing that child. Roman looked up at Junie. She stood frozen on the stairs, watching the adults fight over her like she was property. Junie, go to your room, Roman said quietly. But Dad, go, please. Junie disappeared down the hall. Her bedroom door closed with a soft click. Roman turned back to his wife and mother-in-law. Get out. We're not leaving without her, Irma said. Yes, you are. Because if you try to take her, I'll call the police. Go ahead, Hallie challenged. I'm her mother. I have rights. Roman pulled out his phone. Dialed 911. Norwood Police, this is Janet. Janet, it's Roman Callahan. I need an officer at my house. 2 women are trying to take my daughter against a CPS order. Units on the way, Roman. Roman hung up. Hallie and Irma stared at him. You called the police on your own wife. Hallie's voice cracked. I called them on a child abuser. Irma's face turned red. How dare you? How dare I what? Protect my daughter? Keep her safe from people who hurt her. I never laid a hand on that child. Irma protested. No, you just taught your daughter that pain builds character. That children should toughen up. That burns are accidents. 5 minutes later, Clayton Ward pulled into the driveway. Roman opened the front door. Morning, Roman. What's the situation? These women want to take Junie. CPS has an open case. She's supposed to stay with me pending investigation. Clayton looked at Hallie and Irma. Ladies, I need to see some documentation. Court order? Custody papers. Irma fumbled with her folder. We're working with a lawyer. This man is keeping a mother from her child. Ma'am, without proper paperwork, the child stays where CPS placed her. This is ridiculous, Hallie snapped. He's brainwashed everyone, including you. Clayton's expression hardened. Ma'am, I suggest you lower your voice. And unless you have legal documents, I suggest you leave. Irma and Hallie exchanged looks. Some silent communication passed between them. This isn't over, Irma told Roman. We'll be back with proper papers. Looking forward to it, Roman replied. They left. Clayton watched their cars disappear before turning back to Roman. You okay? Fine. How's Junie? Healing. Clayton nodded. Roman, I gotta ask. Did Hallie really hurt that girl? Roman met his friend's eyes. What do you think? Clayton was quiet for a long moment. I think Junie's lucky to have you as a father. After Clayton left, Roman went upstairs. He found Junie in her room, sitting on the floor with her back against the bed. You okay, kiddo? Are they coming back? Probably. Will you let them take me? Roman knelt beside his daughter. Not ever. I promise. Junie leaned against him. I'm scared, Dad. I know. But you're safe. That's all that matters. Mom looked different. Different how? Mean. Like Grandma Irma. Roman stroked Junie's hair. What was left of it? Some people become who they really are when they're cornered. Are we cornered? No, baby. We're just getting started. Wednesday morning brought Linda Marsh back to Roman's front door. She carried a larger folder this time and wore the expression of someone dealing with complications. Mr. Callahan, we need to discuss the formal investigation. They sat at the kitchen table. Junie was upstairs getting dressed for her first day back at school since the incident. The hospital confirmed intentional injury, Linda began. The burn pattern, the infection timeline, witness statements from nursing staff. This wasn't an accident. Roman poured coffee. What's next? Full investigation. Interviews with all parties. Home visits. Background checks. Could take months. And Junie stays with me. For now. But Mrs. Callahan has filed for emergency custody. Claims you're an unfit parent. Roman's hand tightened on his coffee mug. Based on what? Linda opened her folder. Multiple allegations. Violent behavior. Alcohol abuse. Mental instability due to military service. All lies. I know. But we have to investigate every claim. Linda pulled out papers. She's also alleging that you coached Junie to lie about the burns. That you're manipulating a child to destroy your wife's reputation. Roman stared at the papers. Hallie's signature at the bottom. His wife's name on documents calling him dangerous. When's the hearing? Friday. 2 days. What do I need? Character witnesses. Documentation of your parenting. Proof that Junie is safe and happy in your care. Roman nodded. Anything else? Mrs. Whitlock, that's the grandmother, has filed for emergency grandparent visitation rights. She wants court-ordered access to Junie pending the investigation. Over my dead body. Mr. Callahan, I understand your anger, but you need to stay focused on what's best for Junie. Keeping her away from people who hurt her is what's best for Junie. Linda studied Roman's face. Do you believe Mrs. Whitlock was involved in the abuse? She taught Hallie that pain builds character. She covered for her daughter when Junie got burned. She's trying to get custody so she can hand Junie back to her abuser. Roman met Linda's eyes. Yeah, I think she was involved. That's a serious accusation. It's a serious situation. Linda made notes. I'll need to interview Junie again. More thoroughly this time. She's still protecting her mother. I know. Children often do. It's a survival mechanism. Roman heard footsteps upstairs. Junie getting ready for school. Normal 12-year-old sounds that had become precious in their rarity. What happens if they get custody? Roman asked. Then Junie goes to live with them. And you get supervised visitation. Supervised? Based on their allegations, yes. Until you complete anger management and psychological evaluation. Roman laughed bitterly. They burn a child and I need therapy. The system isn't perfect, Mr. Callahan, but it's what we have. Junie came downstairs wearing jeans and a purple hoodie with the hood up, hiding her scars. Ready for school? Roman asked. I guess. Linda smiled at Junie. How are you feeling, honey? Better. Dad takes good care of me. That's wonderful. Can you tell me more about that? How does your dad take care of you? Junie glanced at Roman. He makes me breakfast, helps with homework, listens when I talk, doesn't yell. What about before? When you lived with both parents? Junie's shoulders tensed. It was different. Different how? Mom was stressed a lot. She had headaches. She said I was too loud. Did your mom ever discipline you? Sometimes. How? Junie looked at the floor. Groundings. Taking away art supplies. Sometimes she'd grab my arm when I wasn't listening. Linda made notes. What about the night you got hurt? Can you tell me what you remember? I told you. I fell in the shower. After you fell, what happened? I was crying. Mom said to stop being dramatic, that I needed to toughen up. Did your mom help with your injury? She said it wasn't that bad, that I was making it worse by touching it. What about your dad? He wasn't home. He had to work. We came home. What happened? He found me in the closet. I was scared and my head hurt really bad. He took me to the hospital right away. Linda looked at Roman. Why were you in the closet, Junie? I don't know. I was confused. Everything hurt. Roman drove Junie to school, walked her to the main office to explain her absence and medical situation to the principal. Will she need special accommodations? The principal asked. Maybe a hat indoors. The healing skin is sensitive to temperature changes. Of course. And if she needs to call home, anytime, for any reason. Roman watched Junie disappear down the hallway to her first period class. She looked small and vulnerable among the other kids, but she walked straight. Head up. Brave.at work. Roman's phone rang constantly. Clayton called with updates on the legal situation. Lorna called with more evidence from her security cameras. Miles from the hospital called with medical documentation for court. But the call that mattered came at 2 p.m. Roman? This is Janet at dispatch. You need to get to the school. Junie's in the nurse's office. Roman dropped his tools and ran. He found Junie sitting on a cot in the school nurse's office, holding an ice pack to her face. What happened? Roman demanded. The nurse, Mrs. Chun, looked uncomfortable. Junie says she fell, but the injury doesn't match her story. Roman knelt beside the cot. Let me see. Junie moved the ice pack. Her left cheek was red and swollen. Finger-shaped marks were clearly visible. Someone slapped you. I fell against a locker. Junie, look at me. Who hit you? Tears filled her eyes. No one, Dad. I'm just clumsy. Mrs. Chun pulled Roman aside. 3 girls saw what happened. Junie was coming out of the bathroom when a woman approached her. Older woman, gray hair, well-dressed. She grabbed Junie's arm and slapped her face. Then she left. Roman's vision went red. Irma. I'm sorry. The woman. It was Irma Whitlock, Junie's grandmother. Should I call the police? Yes. And call Linda Marsh at CPS. Junie needs to be examined and photographed. Roman sat with his daughter while they waited for the authorities. Why are you protecting her? I'm not. Baby, 3 people saw what happened. Junie started crying. She said if I told anyone, she'd make sure you went to jail. She said she had papers that would prove you're dangerous. Roman pulled Junie close. She can't hurt me, and she sure as hell can't hurt you anymore. Clayton arrived first, then Linda, then a photographer to document Junie's newest injuries. This changes everything, Linda told Roman privately. Assault on a minor, in a public place, with witnesses. What about the custody hearing? Mrs. Whitlock just destroyed any chance of getting visitation rights. And Mrs. Callahan's credibility is damaged by association. Roman felt something loosen in his chest. Not relief. Not yet. But hope. What's next? We finished the investigation. But unless something major changes, Junie stays with you. Roman picked up Junie early. They stopped for ice cream on the way home. Junie ordered chocolate chip. Roman watched her eat slowly, favoring her uninjured cheek. I'm sorry I lied, she said. You were scared. I understand. Are you mad at me? Never. I'm mad at people who hurt children, but never at you. What happens now? Now we fight back. How? Roman smiled. By telling the truth. The whole truth. Everything that's been happening. Even the bad stuff, especially the bad stuff. That evening, Roman sat with Junie in her sketchbook. Together, they went through every drawing from the past 6 months. Each picture told a story. Each story revealed another piece of the abuse: that a woman with yellow hair grabbing a small figure's arm, that a kitchen scene with steam rising from a pot, that a bedroom with a child hiding under covers while angry voices shouted outside. These are going to help other people understand what you've been through, Roman explained. Will Mom get in trouble? Yes. Good, Junie said quietly. Maybe then she'll stop hurting people. Thursday night, Roman couldn't sleep. He walked through the house, checking locks, testing windows, making sure they were secure. Old habits from overseas. When you couldn't trust your environment, you controlled what you could. At 2 a.m., he checked on Junie. Found her awake, sitting cross-legged on her bed with her sketchbook open. Can't sleep either, he asked. Bad dreams. Roman sat on the bed's edge. Want to talk about them? Mom keeps trying to take me away. In the dreams, you can't find me. That's not going to happen. How do you know? Because I'll never stop looking. No matter where they take you, I'll find you. Junie nodded. I know. That's what makes the dreams scary for her. Roman studied his daughter's face. What do you mean? In the dreams, Mom is afraid of you. Really afraid. Good. She should be. Junie turned a page in her sketchbook. Dad, can I show you something? Always. She handed him the book. I've been drawing everything. Not just pictures. Words too. Like a diary, but with drawings. Roman looked at the open page. Junie had written the date from 3 weeks ago. Below it was a drawing of a kitchen scene in careful handwriting. Mom grabbed my arm when I spilled juice. She squeezed really hard and said I was clumsy. There are finger marks, but they don't show unless you look close. I told Dad I bumped into a door. Roman turned the page. Another date. Another incident. Mom pulled my hair when I didn't clean my room fast enough. She said I was lazy like Dad. I wanted to tell Dad, but Mom said he would blame me for causing problems. Page after page of documented abuse. Dates. Times. Details. Junie had been keeping a record without knowing it. How long have you been writing these? Since last Christmas. When Mom started getting mad all the time. Why didn't you tell me? She said you wouldn't believe me. That parents always stick together against kids. Roman's throat tightened. You believe that? I used to, but then you chose me over her. Roman hugged his daughter carefully. Always will. They spent an hour going through the journal. Each entry revealed another layer of psychological manipulation. Hallie had isolated Junie systematically, made her believe that speaking up would only make things worse. This is evidence, Roman explained. Real evidence that will help the court understand what's been happening. Will they believe me now? They'll have to. Friday morning arrived with autumn rain. Roman drove Junie to school, then headed to the courthouse for the custody hearing. Linda Marsh met him in the hallway outside the courtroom. How are you holding up? Fine. Mrs. Callahan's lawyer is aggressive. Don't let him bait you into losing your temper. I won't. And remember, this is about Junie's safety, not about punishing your wife. Roman nodded, but they both knew punishment would come. Justice had many faces. The courtroom was small. Wood paneling. American flag. Judge Patricia Hernandez presiding. She was 50s, gray-haired, known for being tough but fair. Hallie sat at the plaintiff's table with her lawyer, Marcus Webb. Expensive suit. Smooth voice. The kind of man who made lies sound like truth. Irma wasn't there. Still in jail from a school assault. Your Honor, Webb began, my client is a loving mother being denied access to her child by a violent, unstable ex-soldier who has manipulated the system against her. Roman's lawyer, Janet Pierce, was a public defender. Overworked, but competent. She stood to respond. Your Honor, Mr. Callahan is protecting his daughter from documented abuse. We have medical evidence, witness testimony, and the child's own journal documenting months of escalating violence. Judge Hernandez looked at the file. I've reviewed the hospital reports and CPS documentation. Let's hear from the witnesses. Miles Patterson testified first. Clear, professional, devastating. The burn pattern is consistent with scalding liquid poured from above. The victim's hair was fused to infected skin. This was intentional assault. Webb cross-examined. Could the injuries have resulted from an accidental fall? No, the physics don't match. Lorna Skell testified next. Her doorbell camera footage played on a laptop. Junie's screams filled the courtroom. Hallie's voice telling her to toughen up. How long have you been monitoring the Callahan household? Webb asked. I'm not monitoring. My camera faces my driveway. It picks up sound from next door. Have you ever seen Mr. Callahan lose his temper? No. I've seen him wash his daughter's hair after she was burned. I've seen him carry groceries to elderly neighbors. I've seen him fix cars for single mothers without charging labor. Webb tried to discredit her testimony, but the audio evidence was undeniable. Linda Marsh testified about the CPS investigation, the timeline of abuse, the pattern of escalation. In your professional opinion, is the child safe with Mr. Callahan? Absolutely. He's provided excellent care during a traumatic period. What about with Mrs. Callahan? I wouldn't recommend unsupervised contact at this time. Webb's case fell apart quickly. His character witnesses were Hallie's friends who admitted they'd never seen her parent Junie. His expert witness was a psychologist who'd never examined Roman. When it was Roman's turn to testify, he kept his answers short and direct. Did you ever suspect your wife was abusing your daughter? I suspected something was wrong. Junie was withdrawn, anxious, but I didn't know how bad it was. Why not? Because I trusted my wife. And because Junie was protecting her. What changed? I found my daughter in a closet at 4 a.m. with infected burns on her scalp. That's when I stopped trusting and started protecting. Webb tried to rattle him. Mr. Callahan, isn't it true you threatened Mrs. Callahan? I told her she should be scared. She should be. People who hurt children should be scared. Are you a violent man? When necessary. Is this necessary? Roman looked at Hallie. She sat perfectly still, staring at her hands. Your Honor, my daughter was tortured by someone who was supposed to love her. Someone who spent months teaching her that pain was normal. That speaking up would only make things worse. Roman's voice stayed level. If protecting her from that makes me violent, then yes. I'm violent. Judge Hernandez called a recess. Return an hour later with her decision. Based on the evidence presented, I find credible allegations of child abuse against Mrs. Callahan. Mr. Callahan is awarded temporary full custody pending completion of the CPS investigation. Mrs. Callahan may have supervised visitation twice monthly at the County Family Center. Mrs. Whitlock's request for grandparent visitation is denied pending resolution of assault charges. Hallie started crying. Webb put his arm around her shoulders. Your Honor, Webb said, my client requests immediate therapy and parenting classes to facilitate reunification. Mrs. Callahan may pursue therapy at her own expense. Reunification will depend on CPS recommendations and her daughter's wishes. Roman felt something settle in his chest. Not quite peace, but the beginning of it. Outside the courthouse, Linda walked with Roman to his truck. How do you feel? Like I can breathe again. This isn't over. Appeals. More hearings. Could drag on for months. Let it. Every day Junie's with me is a win. Roman drove to the school. Picked up Junie early again. They went for ice cream. Again. Why do we keep getting ice cream? Junie asked. Because we can. Because you're safe. Because normal kids get ice cream after school. Am I normal now? You're perfect. Just like you've always been. Junie smiled around her spoon. Dad, yeah, I love you. Love you too, kiddo. The package arrived on Saturday morning. Roman found it on his front porch when he went out for the newspaper. No return address. Just his name written in block letters. Inside were photographs. Dozens of them. Roman closed the front door and spread the pictures across the kitchen table. His hands shook as he realized what he was looking at. Hallie with a man Roman didn't recognize. Coming out of a motel. Kissing in a parking lot. Getting into his truck at 3 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. The day Roman had worked 16 hours on an emergency call. The day Junie got burned. The man was maybe 35. Tall. Thin. Scraggly beard. Cheap clothes. The kind of drifter who hung around dive bars and lived off women. A note was tucked between the photos. Thought you should know what your wife does while you're working. A friend Roman studied the pictures. Some are dated. The affair had been going on for months. While Junie was being abused, Hallie was playing house with her boyfriend. But the timing of the burns made Roman's blood freeze. The photos showed Hallie leaving the motel at 11:30 p.m. According to the hospital, Junie was burned around midnight. Hallie came home from her boyfriend's bed and immediately tortured their daughter. Roman gathered the photos. Drove to Linda Marsh's office. Mr. Callahan, I wasn't expecting you today. Got something you need to see. Roman spread the photos across Linda's desk. She studied them carefully. Where did these come from? Anonymous package. But they're real. How can you be sure? I recognize the locations. That's the Rusty Anchor parking lot. That's the Sleepy Inn on Highway 30. Linda made notes. I'll need to verify these independently. Timeline. Locations. Witnesses. The timeline matches. Look at this one. Roman pointed to a photo dated the night of Junie's burning. Hallie left the motel at 11:30. The hospital said Junie was burned around midnight. You think she came home from her affair and immediately assaulted your daughter? I think she was angry. Guilty. Maybe the boyfriend rejected her. So she took it out on the nearest victim. Linda stared at the photos. This changes our understanding of the incident. Premeditation. Emotional state. Pattern of behavior. Can you use them? If I can authenticate them. Do you know who the man is? Roman shook his head. But I know someone who might. Clayton Ward met Roman at a coffee shop that afternoon. Roman showed him the photos discreetly. You know this guy? Clayton studied the pictures. Yeah, Gentry Voss. Drifter. Failed musician. Been in town about 6 months. What's his story? Lives in a trailer behind Mickey's Auto Salvage. Plays guitar at the Rusty Anchor sometimes. Gets by on charm and other people's money. He got a record. Minor stuff. Bar fights. Drunk and disorderly. Nothing violent against women or kids. Roman studied his friend's face. You sent me these photos? Clayton's expression didn't change. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, but if someone wanted to investigate an ongoing affair, they might check motel registries. Credit card records. Phone logs. That someone got a badge. That someone's got friends with badges. Roman understood. Clayton couldn't officially investigate Hallie's affair, but he could unofficially gather evidence to protect a fellow Marine's daughter. What else you got? Clayton pulled out a folder. Gentry Voss's phone records. Shows multiple calls to a number registered to Hallie Callahan's new phone, including a 40-minute call the night Junie got burned. Before or after? Before. Call ended at 11:15 p.m. Roman did the math. Hallie talked to her boyfriend until 11:15. Left the motel at 11:30. Got home by midnight. Burned Junie immediately. She was angry about something, Roman said. Lovers quarrel, or he wanted to end it. She came home furious and took it out on Junie. Clayton nodded. I can't testify to any of this officially. But if CPS subpoenas phone records, they'll find the same information. Exactly. Roman gathered the photos and records. Thanks. Don't thank me. Thank a concerned citizen who wants to see justice done. Sunday, Roman spent the day with Junie. They visited a park, went to a movie, did normal father-daughter things, but Roman's mind kept circling back to the photos. The timeline, the phone call. That evening, he called Linda Marsh at home. I've been thinking about the affair, he said. What about it? Junie might have seen something. The night she got burned. She said she caught Hallie video calling a man earlier that day. I need to interview her again. More specifically this time. She's ready. I think she wants to tell the truth. Monday morning, Linda came to the house. She sat with Junie in the living room while Roman made coffee in the kitchen. Close enough to hear. Far enough to let Junie speak freely. Junie, I want to talk about the night you got hurt. But first, let's talk about earlier that day. You told your dad you caught your mom video calling someone. Can you tell me about that? I went downstairs for water. Mom was on the couch with her phone. She was talking to a man. What kind of talking? Like boyfriend-girlfriend talking. She was laughing and touching her hair. She said she missed him. What happened when she saw you? She got really mad. Yelled at me for spying. Said I was always trying to cause trouble. Did she hit you then? She slapped my face. Said I'd better not tell Dad or anyone else. What did you do? I went back to bed. But I was scared. Why scared? Because Mom was different. Mean. Like when Grandma Irma visits. Linda made notes. Later that night, when you got hurt, what do you remember? Junie was quiet for a long time. I got up to use the bathroom. I had a fever and felt sick. What time was this? Really late. The house was dark. Was your mom home? Her car wasn't there when I went to bed, but it was there when I got up. So she came home while you were asleep? Yeah, and she was mad about something. How do you know? I heard her slamming things in the kitchen, talking to herself. Could you understand what she was saying? Bad words. About men being... Junie looked toward the kitchen where Roman was listening. About men being mean. Then what happened? I went to the bathroom. When I came out, Mom was standing in the hall. How did she look? Angry. Really angry. Her face was red and her hair was messy. What did she say? She said I was always in the way, always causing problems, that she was sick of dealing with me. Then she grabbed my arm and pulled me to the kitchen, said I needed to learn what real problems felt like. Linda leaned forward. What happened in the kitchen, Junie? She had a pot of water on the stove, boiling water. She said pain would toughen me up like Grandma Irma always said. Did she explain why she was doing this? She said everything was my fault. If I wasn't around, her life would be better. She could be happy. What did you do? I tried to pull away, but she was stronger. Then she poured the water. Junie nodded, tears streaming down her face. It hurt so bad. I screamed, and she got even madder. Said I was being dramatic, that I deserved it for spying on her. Roman's hands clenched around his coffee mug. He wanted to kill Hallie. Slowly, painfully. After she poured the water, what happened? I ran upstairs and hid in the closet. I was bleeding and it hurt so much I couldn't think. Where was your mom? I heard her talking on the phone, crying, saying she was sorry. Sorry to who? I don't know. Maybe the man from the video call. Linda finished her notes. Junie, you've been very brave. This information will help make sure you stay safe. Will Mom get in trouble? Yes, she will. Good, Junie said firmly. She needs to get in trouble. After Linda left, Roman sat with Junie on the couch. How do you feel? Better. Like I don't have to carry secrets anymore. You don't. No more secrets. No more protecting people who hurt you. What happens next? Next, we make sure everyone knows the truth. That afternoon, Roman's phone rang. Linda Marsh. I've spoken with the prosecutor. Based on Junie's testimony and the evidence you provided, they're filing additional charges against Hallie. What kind of charges? Aggravated assault, child endangerment, and they're looking into conspiracy charges related to the affair and the timing of the assault. Roman felt satisfaction settle deep in his chest. Good. There's more. CPS is recommending permanent custody to you. Hallie's visitation will remain supervised indefinitely. And Irma, facing assault charges for the school incident. No contact with Junie until further notice. Roman looked at his daughter. She was drawing again. This time, a picture of a house with sunshine and flowers. A little girl playing in the yard. Safe. Happy. Free. Thank you, Roman told Linda. Thank Junie. She's the one who found her voice. The second custody hearing took place 3 weeks later in a larger courtroom. Word had spread through Norwood about the case. The gallery was packed with neighbors, teachers, and members of the community who'd watched the Callahan family implode. Roman sat at the defendant's table with Janet Pierce. Across the aisle, Hallie sat with Marcus Webb. She looked different, thinner, older. The stress was showing. Judge Hernandez called the court to order. This is a continuation of the custody matter regarding Junie Callahan. I understand the state has filed additional charges against Mrs. Callahan. Prosecutor David Martinez stood. Yes, Your Honor. Aggravated assault, child endangerment, and conspiracy to commit assault. Mrs. Callahan is currently out on bond. Roman felt eyes on him from the gallery. Lorna Skell nodded encouragement. Miles Patterson gave him a thumbs up. Clayton Ward stood against the back wall, off-duty but watching. Webb made his opening statement. Your Honor, my client made a mistake. A moment of poor judgment during a period of extreme stress. She's seeking help. She's committed to being a better mother. Destroying her relationship with her daughter serves no one. Janet Pierce stood to respond. Your Honor, this wasn't a mistake. It was calculated torture of child. Mrs. Callahan came home from an affair, furious at her lover, and took that rage out on her 12-year-old daughter. This is unforgivable. The first witness was Dr. Sarah Chan, a child psychologist who'd been evaluating Junie. In my professional opinion, Junie shows classic signs of long-term psychological abuse. Anxiety, Depression. Hypervigilance. She's been conditioned to accept blame for adult behavior. How long would this conditioning take? Janet asked. Months. Possibly years. This wasn't isolated abuse. It was systematic. Webb cross-examined. Doctor, children often exaggerate or misremember traumatic events. Isn't it possible Junie's memories have been influenced by her father's anger toward her mother? No. Junie's account is consistent, detailed, and matches physical evidence. She's not making this up, but she's been living with Mr. Callahan for weeks. He could have coached her. Mr. Callahan's presence has actually helped Junie feel safe enough to tell the truth. Before, she was too frightened to speak. The prosecution called Gentry Voss. Roman watched his wife's boyfriend take the stand. Thin, nervous, the kind of man who lived in shadows. Martinez got straight to the point. Mr. Voss, were you having an affair with the defendant? Yeah. For how long? About 4 months. Tell the court about the night of October 15th. Voss shifted in his chair. Hallie came to my place around 8. We hung out. Talked. About what? She was upset about her marriage. Said she was going to leave her husband and take the kid. Did you encourage this? I told her to be careful. Divorce gets messy. What happened later that evening? We had a fight. She wanted me to meet her kid. I said I wasn't ready for that. How did Mrs. Callahan react? She got real mad. Started crying. Said I was just using her. What time did she leave? Around 11:30. What was her emotional state? Pissed off. Really pissed off. Webb tried to damage Voss's credibility. Mr. Voss, isn't it true you've been arrested multiple times? Yeah, but never for hurting women or kids. You're unemployed, correct? I play music. Do odd jobs. You were using Mrs. Callahan for money and shelter. She offered. I didn't force her. Did you know she was abusing her daughter? No. She never talked about the kid much. When Hallie took the stand, the courtroom went silent. Webb led her through a prepared story. Troubled marriage. Postpartum depression. Moment of weakness. Mrs. Callahan, do you regret your actions? Every day. I love my daughter. I never meant to hurt her. Were you having emotional problems at the time? Yes. My marriage was failing. I felt trapped. I made terrible choices. Are you seeking help? I'm in therapy. Taking parenting classes. I want to be better. Janet Pierce's cross-examination was surgical. Mrs. Callahan, you testified that you love your daughter, but you applied for a life insurance policy on her 3 weeks before you burned her. Why? Hallie's face went pale. That was financial planning. $1 million policy on a 12-year-old? What were you planning? It wasn't like that. You also sold your daughter's savings bond without her father's permission. Correct. I needed money. For what? Living expenses. Or to fund your affair with Mr. Voss. Hallie didn't answer. Mrs. Callahan, your daughter testified that you told her she was the reason you couldn't be happy. That your life would be better without her. Do you remember saying that? I was upset. People say things they don't mean. Do they pour boiling water on children they don't mean to hurt? Webb objected. Janet continued. You came home from your lover's bed, angry because he rejected you, and you decided to punish your daughter for your own failures. Isn't that what really happened? No. You tortured a child because you couldn't face the consequences of your own choices. I made a mistake. Mistakes are accidents, Mrs. Callahan. This was deliberate. You held a pot of boiling water over your daughter's head and poured it slowly. That's not a mistake. That's attempted murder. Hallie broke down crying. Webb called for a recess. When court resumed, Roman took the stand that Janet's questions were simple. Mr. Callahan, what do you want for your daughter? Safety, peace, a chance to be a normal kid. Do you believe Mrs. Callahan can provide that? No. Why not? Because she's proven she can't. She hurt Junie. She lied about it. She tried to blame me. Even now, she's not taking responsibility. What about supervised visitation? If the court orders it, I'll comply. But Junie shouldn't be forced to see someone who traumatized her. Webb's cross-examination tried to paint Roman as vindictive. Mr. Callahan, isn't this really about revenge? Punishing your wife for her affair? This is about protecting my daughter. You've admitted to threatening Mrs. Callahan, to telling her she should be afraid. She should be afraid. People who hurt children should live in fear. Is that a threat? Roman looked directly at Hallie. It's a promise. Judge Hernandez called for closing arguments. Webb made one last plea. Your Honor, Mrs. Callahan needs help, not punishment. Junie needs her mother. Broken families can be repaired with counseling and supervision. Janet Pierce was blunt. Your Honor, some things can't be repaired. Mrs. Callahan destroyed her daughter's trust, her sense of safety, her ability to feel secure in her own home. She chose her affair over her child's welfare. She chose violence over protection. She chose lies over accountability. Mr. Callahan isn't perfect, but he's proven he'll fight for his daughter. He's shown he can provide stability, safety, and love. Junie has thrived under his care. Mrs. Callahan had multiple opportunities to seek help. Instead, she escalated the abuse. She deserves justice, not custody. Judge Hernandez took 30 minutes to deliberate. When she returned, her expression was grim. This court has reviewed all evidence and testimony. The abuse suffered by Junie Callahan was severe, intentional, and inexcusable. Mrs. Callahan's actions show a pattern of placing her own desires above her child's welfare. Her affair, her financial manipulation, and her assault on Junie demonstrate unfitness as a parent. Mr. Callahan is awarded permanent custody. Mrs. Callahan's parental rights are terminated. Hallie collapsed in her chair. Webb put his arm around her. Furthermore, the judge continued, Mrs. Callahan is ordered to pay child support and medical expenses related to Junie's treatment. She may request supervised visitation in 1 year, subject to psychological evaluation and Junie's consent. Roman felt something release in his chest. Victory. Justice. The end of a nightmare. Outside the courthouse, Lorna hugged him. You did it. Junie did it. She found her courage. Clayton approached. How's it feel? Like I can sleep again. What's next? Roman looked up at the autumn sky. Clear. Blue. Full of possibilities. Next, we start over. The insurance documents arrived by certified mail on a Tuesday morning. Roman signed for the package, wondering why a life insurance company was contacting him. Inside was a thick folder marked Claim Investigation, Junie Callahan. Roman's blood turned to ice as he read. Hallie had applied for $1 million life insurance policy on Junie 6 weeks before the burning incident. The application listed accident as the primary concern, with higher payouts for accidental death and dismemberment. The application had been approved. The first premium paid. The policy was active the night Junie was burned. Roman called Janet Pierce immediately. This changes everything, Janet said after reviewing the documents. This isn't just child abuse. It's attempted murder for financial gain. Can you prove intent? $1 million policy on a 12-year-old? 3 weeks before she's nearly killed? A jury will connect those dots. Roman felt sick. She was going to kill her. Looks that way. Or let her die from the injuries. Make it look accidental. What stopped her? You came home early. If you'd been stuck on that emergency call all night, Roman couldn't finish the thought. If he'd been working, Junie would have died alone in agony, while Hallie collected insurance money. There's more, Janet continued. I've been investigating the savings bond you mentioned. Hallie didn't just sell it. She forged your signature to cash it early. How much? $5,000. Your father's gift to Junie for college. Roman's hand shook. When 2 weeks before the insurance application. She was planning this for months. What's next? I'm calling the prosecutor. This is now attempted murder, insurance fraud, and forgery. Hallie's going to prison for a long time. That evening, Roman sat with Junie in her room. She was drawing again a picture of a butterfly emerging from a cocoon. Dad, you look upset. Roman chose his words carefully. I found out some things about your mom. Things that might be hard to understand. Bad things. Very bad things. Junie set down her pencil. Worse than burning me? Roman nodded. She was planning to hurt you much worse. To kill me. Roman stared at his daughter. How did you know? I heard her talking to Grandma Irma. They thought I was asleep. Mom said I was worth more dead than alive. Roman's vision went white with rage. When was this? A few weeks before I got burned. They were talking about money and how much it costs to raise kids. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't understand what they meant. Not until after the hospital. Roman pulled Junie close. You understand now. Mom wanted the insurance money. She was going to let me die and pretend it was an accident. Yes, but you saved me. You saved yourself by surviving. Junie leaned against him. Are they going to arrest Mom? Yes. Good. She's dangerous. Yes, she is. Will I have to testify again? Probably. But you're stronger now. And I'll be there. I'm not scared anymore, Dad. Not of her. What changed? I know you'll protect me. And I know she can't hurt me if she's in prison. The next morning brought news that Hallie had been arrested at her mother's house, charged with attempted murder, insurance fraud, and forgery. Bail set at $500,000. Irma couldn't raise the money. Hallie would wait in jail for trial. Roman felt satisfaction, but also emptiness. He'd won, but the cost was enormous. His daughter had nearly been murdered by her own mother. That afternoon, Linda Marsh visited with updates. The criminal trial is scheduled for March. The prosecutor thinks it's a slam dunk case. What about Irma? Still facing assault charges for hitting Junie at school. But she's also being investigated as an accessory. If she knew about the insurance plan, she knew. Can you prove it? Junie heard them talking. Linda made notes. This keeps getting worse. Good. They both deserve everything they get. Roman, I need to ask you something personal. How are you handling all this? It's a lot for anyone to process. Roman considered the question. I'm angry. All the time. But it's controlled anger. Focus. Are you getting help? Therapy? Don't need therapy. Need justice. Justice and healing aren't the same thing. Maybe not. But justice comes first. Linda studied his face. What about Junie? Is she getting counseling? She sees Dr. Chun twice a week. She's doing better. And you two? Your relationship? Stronger than ever. This showed us what really matters. What's that? Family. Real family. People who protect each other instead of hurting each other. That evening, Roman and Junie cooked dinner together. Spaghetti and meatballs. Simple. Normal. The kind of thing families did. Dad, can I ask you something? Always. Are you going to date someone else? Get married again? Roman considered the question. I don't know. Maybe someday. Why? I just want to make sure you pick someone who won't hurt us. If I ever date again, you'll meet her first. And if you don't like her, that's the end of it. Really? Really? You're the most important person in my life. Anyone else would have to understand that. Junie smiled. I think I like having a nice stepmom someday. Someone who actually wants to be a mom. What would that look like? Someone who helps with homework. Makes cookies. Comes to school plays. Normal mom stuff. You deserve that. We both do. Roman nodded. They did deserve that. Happiness. Peace. A future without fear. But first, justice had to be served. 3 months later, Roman had a plan. The criminal trial was scheduled to begin in 2 weeks. Hallie was out on bail, staying with Irma while her lawyer prepared her defense. They were claiming mental breakdown, postpartum depression, temporary insanity. Roman knew better. Hallie was calculating, methodical, evil, but proving premeditation required more than insurance documents and Junie's testimony. It required Hallie to confess. Roman called Hallie's lawyer. Marcus, this is Roman Callahan. I want to discuss a settlement. Webb sounded surprised. What kind of settlement? Custody's already decided. But there's still the matter of child support, medical bills, therapy costs. I'm willing to accept a lump sum to avoid years of collection battles. What did you have in mind? $50,000. Clean slate. That's a lot of money. Your client nearly killed my daughter. I think she can't afford it. Webb was quiet for a moment. I'll need to discuss this with Hallie and her mother. Set up a meeting. Neutral location. Just the 4 of us. What about lawyers? We can handle this ourselves. Save everyone legal fees. Webb agreed. The meeting was set for Saturday afternoon at a conference room in the Norwood Public Library. Public place. Safe. Recorded for security. Roman arrived early. Clayton Ward was already there, dressed as a civilian, but carrying his service weapon. They'd arranged for him to be in the library by coincidence. Hallie and Irma arrived 10 minutes late. Both wore black dresses like they were attending a funeral. Maybe they were. They sat across from Roman at a long table. The tension was immediate. Thank you for coming, Roman began. I know this is difficult for everyone. Cut the act, Roman. Irma snapped. What do you want? Closure. For all of us. Hallie spoke for the first time. I'm willing to pay support. But $50,000 is excessive. Is it? What's your daughter's life worth? Don't be dramatic. Roman pulled out his phone. Set on the table. Mind if I record this? For documentation. No recording, Irma said quickly. Why not? Nothing to hide, right? Hallie and Irma exchanged glances. Fine, Hallie said. Record away. Roman started the recording app. October 20th, settlement discussion between Roman Callahan, Hallie Callahan, and Irma Whitlock. Let's get this over with, Irma said. Roman leaned back in his chair. I'm curious about something, Hallie. The night you burned Junie. Walk me through what really happened. You know what happened? I've testified about it. No, you've lied about it. I want the truth. Hallie's face hardened. The truth is you're a controlling bastard who drove me to another man. And I came home angry. Made a mistake. What kind of mistake? I disciplined her too harshly by pouring boiling water on her head. It was supposed to be a lesson. Roman's hands stayed relaxed on the table. What kind of lesson? That actions have consequences. She was spying on me, interfering with my relationship, your affair, my personal life. So you decided to torture her. Hallie's composure cracked. She needed to understand. I was finally happy for the first time in years, and she was trying to ruin it. By existing, by being in the way, always watching, always judging. I couldn't have 5 minutes of peace without her breathing down my neck. Irma reached for Hallie's arm. Honey, stop. But Hallie was past stopping. You want the truth, Roman? Fine. She was never supposed to survive. Roman's blood turned to ice. What? The burns were supposed to be worse. But she moved at the last second. Jerked away. Only got her scalp instead of her whole head. You were trying to kill her. I was trying to solve a problem. She was ruining everything. My marriage, my chance at happiness, my freedom. Your freedom. Do you know what it's like being trapped with a child you never wanted? Watching your life disappear day by day. Roman kept his voice level. So you bought life insurance. Hallie smiled for the first time. Cold. Calculated. Smart investment. And if she died, you'd collect. If she died, everyone would be better off. You'd be free to find someone else. I'd have money to start over. She'd be out of her misery. Her misery? She was never happy, Roman. Never smiled unless you were around. Always drawing those depressing pictures. Always sad, because you were abusing her. I was preparing her for reality. Life is pain. The sooner children learn that, the stronger they become. Like your mother taught you. Irma finally spoke. Don't bring me into this. Roman turned to her. You were part of it. The insurance plan. The cover-up. I was protecting my daughter. From what? From the consequences of her choices. You mean murder. It wasn't murder. It was an accident that didn't happen. Roman stared at both women. You planned to kill a 12-year-old girl for insurance money. We planned to solve a problem, Hallie said. Junie was never going to be normal. Never going to be happy. We were doing her a favor. By murdering her. By ending her suffering. Roman's vision tunneled. Every instinct screamed at him to reach across the table and strangle both women. But he forced himself to stay calm. What about Gentry? You know about this. Gentry's an idiot. He thought I was leaving you for him. But you weren't. I was leaving. With the insurance money. Starting fresh somewhere else. Without Gentry. Men are replaceable. Money isn't. Roman looked at his phone. Still recording. Every word captured. Is there anything else you want to tell me? For the record. Hallie leaned forward. Yeah, you think you've won, but you haven't. I'll appeal. I'll fight. I'll make your life hell for years. From prison. I'm not going to prison. My lawyer says mental breakdown, temporary insanity. I'll get probation and therapy. You think so? I know so. Rich white women don't go to prison for disciplining their children. Roman smiled. We'll see. He stopped the recording. Saved it to the cloud. Sent copies to Janet Pierce and the prosecutor. Meeting's over, he announced. Hallie and Irma left. Roman waited 5 minutes, then walked to the library's front desk where Clayton was reading a newspaper. Get all that? Roman asked quietly. Clayton nodded. Audio's crystal clear. You want me to make the arrest now? Give them 10 minutes to get home. Then hit them both. Conspiracy to commit murder, and insurance fraud, and anything else that sticks. Clayton stood. Roman, yeah, remind me never to piss you off. Roman smiled. Too late for that advice. 2 hours later, Roman's phone rang. Clayton, both in custody. Hallie's lawyer is screaming about entrapment, but the recording is legal. You identified yourself, asked permission, got consent. Irma confessed within an hour. Threw Hallie under the bus to save herself. What did she say? That Hallie planned the whole thing. Insurance, murder, cover-up. Irma just went along to protect her daughter. You believe her. Doesn't matter what I believe. Matters what the jury believes. Roman felt something settle in his chest. Justice. Real justice. That evening, he told Junie about the recording. Mom confessed. She admitted everything. The insurance plan. Trying to kill you. All of it. Junie was quiet for a long time. How do you feel? Like we can finally move on. Are you glad she's in jail? I'm glad she can't hurt you anymore. That's different. Yes, it is. Junie nodded. I don't want her to suffer. I just want her to be far away from us. She will be. For a very long time. Good. Now we can be happy. The trial lasted 2 weeks and made national news. Mother accused of attempted murder for insurance money. Child survives scalding attack by parent. Nebraska woman plotted daughter's death. Roman kept Junie away from the media circus. They stayed with Lorna during jury selection, avoiding photographers and reporters camped outside their house. The prosecution's case was devastating. Dr. Miles Patterson testified about Junie's injuries, the deliberate burn pattern, the infection timeline, the near-fatal nature of the assault. Linda Marsh testified about the pattern of abuse, the systematic isolation, the psychological conditioning. Gentry Voss testified about Hallie's state of mind, her anger toward Junie, her resentment about motherhood. The insurance investigator explained the policy timeline, application date, premium payments, beneficiary arrangements. But the recording was the knockout punch. The courtroom went silent as Hallie's voice filled the speakers. She was never supposed to survive. I was trying to solve a problem. If she died, everyone would be better off. Roman watched the jury's faces. Shock, disgust, horror to Hallie's defense fell apart quickly. Webb tried to claim mental illness, but the recording proved premeditation, careful planning, cold calculation. Irma testified against her own daughter in exchange for a plea deal. 5 years probation and permanent no contact with Junie. Hallie came to me with the insurance idea. Irma testified. She said Junie was ruining her life, that she deserved a fresh start. Did you agree with this plan? The prosecutor asked. I thought she was just venting. I didn't know she was serious until after it happened. What convinced you she was serious? When she called me that night, laughing, saying the problem was solved. She was laughing, hysterically, said she was finally free. Roman watched Hallie during her mother's testimony. No emotion, no remorse. She looked bored. When Junie testified, the courtroom was packed. Roman sat in the front row where she could see him. Junie, can you tell the jury what your mother said to you the night you were burned? She said I was always in the way, that her life would be better without me. Did you believe her? Yes. She'd been saying things like that for months. What kind of things? That I was a burden, that she never wanted children, that I ruined everything for her. How did that make you feel? Sad, but also scared, because I could tell she meant it. Were you surprised when she hurt you? No, I was expecting it. She'd been getting angrier every day. Why didn't you tell your father? She said he wouldn't believe me, that parents stick together against kids. Do you believe that now? No, my dad chose me over her. He protected me. Webb's cross-examination was brief and ineffective. Junie was calm, consistent, and credible. Junie, do you love your mother? I used to, before she started hurting me. Do you want her to go to prison? I want her to get help, but I want to be safe too. If she got help, would you want to see her again? Junie looked at Roman. He nodded encouragement. Maybe, if she was really different, but I don't think that's possible. Why not? Because she tried to kill me for money. That's not something you get better from. When Hallie testified, she tried to maintain the mental illness defense. I was suffering from severe depression, overwhelmed by the responsibilities of motherhood. I wasn't thinking clearly. The prosecutor's cross-examination was brutal. Mrs. Callahan, you researched life insurance policies for 3 weeks before applying. Is it the behavior of someone not thinking clearly? I was trying to be responsible, You chose a policy with higher payouts for accidental death. Why? I don't remember. You told your mother that if Junie died, everyone would be better off. Do you remember that? No. You told my office you were solving a problem. What problem were you solving? I don't recall saying that. We have it on tape. I was upset. People say things they don't mean. You poured boiling water on a 12-year-old child's head. Did you mean to do that? Hallie's composure finally cracked. She deserved it. She was spying on me, ruining everything. So you decided to kill her. I decided to teach her a lesson by committing murder, by showing her that actions have consequences. Mrs. Callahan, what consequences did you face for having an affair? That's different. How? I'm an adult. I can make my own choices. And children can't. Children need to learn their place. By being tortured, by understanding that life isn't fair. The jury deliberated for 3 hours, guilty on all counts. Attempted murder in the first degree, child endangerment, insurance fraud, conspiracy to commit murder. Judge Hernandez scheduled sentencing for the following month. Roman felt hollow victory. Justice, but at enormous cost. Outside the courthouse, reporters surrounded him. Mr. Callahan, how do you feel about the verdict? Relieved. My daughter is safe. What would you say to other parents facing domestic violence? Believe your children. Protect them. Don't make excuses for abusers. Will you attend the sentencing? Yes. Junie deserves to see this through to the end. What's next for your family? Roman looked at Junie, standing beside him holding his hand. We're going to be happy. The sentencing hearing was smaller. Less media attention. The novelty had worn off. Judge Hernandez addressed the courtroom. This case represents one of the most calculated acts of child abuse I've encountered in 20 years on the bench. Mrs. Callahan showed no remorse, no accountability, and no understanding of the gravity of her actions. She planned to murder her own child for financial gain. The victim impact statement from Junie Callahan was particularly moving. A 12-year-old child should not have to beg for her mother's love, should not have to live in fear of the person meant to protect her. Mrs. Callahan, do you have anything to say before sentencing? Hallie stood. Your Honor, I made mistakes, but I'm not a monster. I love my daughter and never intended to hurt her seriously. Roman felt Junie tense beside him. I asked for mercy, for the chance to rebuild my relationship with my child. Judge Hernandez studied Hallie for a long moment. Mrs. Callahan, you forfeited the right to call yourself a mother the moment you chose money over your child's life. I sentence you to 25 years in prison. You will be eligible for parole in 15 years, contingent on psychological evaluation and your daughter's consent. You are permanently barred from contact with the victim. No letters, phone calls, or third-party communication. Furthermore, you are ordered to pay full restitution for medical expenses, therapy costs, and victim compensation in the amount of $200,000. Hallie collapsed. Deputies led her away in handcuffs. Roman felt Junie squeeze his hand. It's over, he whispered. Finally, she whispered back. 6 months later, Roman and Junie moved to Lincoln, Nebraska. The house was small but bright. 3 bedrooms, a big kitchen, and a backyard with room for a garden. Junie picked out paint colors for her room. Purple walls with white trim. Space for an art desk by the window. Roman found work at a specialty garage that restored classic cars. The pay was good, the hours reasonable, and his boss understood about single parenthood. Junie started a new school where nobody knew her story. She made friends quickly, joined the art club, played soccer in the fall. Her hair grew back in thick waves. The scars were barely visible unless you knew where to look. Doctor Chun continued Junie's therapy via video calls. The sessions were less frequent now. Junie was healing. How do you feel about the move? Dr. Chun asked during their monthly check-in. Good. Free. Like I can be myself. Any nightmares? Not for weeks. What's different? I'm not scared anymore. I know Dad will protect me. And I know Mom can't hurt me from prison. Do you think about her? Sometimes. But not the way I used to. How did you used to think about her? Like she might come back. Like I had to be ready to hide or run. And now I think about her like someone I used to know. Someone who was sick and dangerous, but far away. That's healthy progress. I know. Dad says healing takes time, but gets easier. Your father sounds wise. He is. He saved my life. On Saturdays, Roman volunteered in a nonprofit garage teaching auto repair to at-risk teenagers. Junie often came along, drawing while he worked. Why do you like helping kids? One of the teenagers asked. Because someone helped me when I needed it, Roman replied. And because everyone deserves a second chance. What about people who hurt kids? Do they deserve second chances? Roman's hands stilled on the engine he was rebuilding. Depends on what they did and whether they're sorry. What if they're not sorry? Then they don't deserve forgiveness. They deserve consequences. Even if they're family, especially if they're family. Families should protect each other. When they don't, they stop being family. One of Roman's projects was a 1965 Ford Mustang, blue with white racing stripes. He and Junie worked on it together in their garage at home. Why this car? Junie asked. Mustangs are survivors. Strong, fast, beautiful. Even when they're broken, they can be fixed. Like us. Like us. They painted the car together on a warm spring day. Junie added small details, flowers on the rear quarter panel, a butterfly on the antenna. It's perfect, Roman said. It's ours, Junie replied. That evening, they sat on the front porch watching sunset paint the sky orange and pink. Dad, are you happy? Yes. Are you? Most of the time. Sometimes I still feel sad about Mom. What kind of sad? Sad that she chose to be mean instead of nice. Sad that she couldn't love me the way you do. That's her loss, kiddo. Not yours. I know, but still hurts sometimes. That's okay. It means you have a good heart. Will always hurt, less and less, until one day you'll realize you haven't thought about it in weeks. And then you'll know you're free. Junie leaned against him. I love you, Dad. Love you too, baby. Always will. A year later, Roman opened his own garage. Callahan Classic Restoration specialized in bringing old cars back to life. The business grew quickly through word of mouth and Junie's artistic touches on completed projects. Roman hired 3 employees, all former foster kids or juvenile offenders who needed second chances. The garage became a place of redemption as much as restoration, and on the wall of the main shop, Roman hung a framed drawing. Junie had made it for the grand opening. A wolf standing protectively over a young cub, with a burned landscape behind them slowly growing green again. Below the drawing was a brass plaque. They thought I'd forgive, that I'd flinch. They forgot some men never let go. Some scars don't fade, and mine made me sharper. Customers often asked about the drawing and quote. Roman would tell them it was a reminder that protection comes from strength, and strength comes from love. One afternoon, a letter arrived addressed to Junie. No return address, but Roman recognized the handwriting that he called Clayton Ward. Hallie's trying to contact Junie from prison. Violation of a no-contact order. Want me to handle it? Please. Should I tell Junie? Roman considered this. Yeah, she's strong enough to know, and she deserves to make her own choices. That evening, Roman showed Junie the unopened letter. It's from your mother. Junie stared at the envelope. What does she want? I don't know. You want me to read it first? No, I'll read it. Junie opened the letter carefully. Read in silence. Her expression didn't change. What does it say? Roman asked. She says she's sorry, that she's getting help, that she wants to see me when she gets out. How do you feel about that? Angry. She's not sorry. She's just scared of being alone. What do you want to do? Nothing. I don't want to see her. I don't want her letters. I want her to leave us alone. Roman nodded. Then that's what we'll do. Junie tore the letter in half, then in quarters, then into tiny pieces. I'm done being afraid of her, she said. I'm done letting her take up space in my head. Good for you. Can we burn it? Absolutely. They went to the backyard, built a small fire in the metal trash can. Watched Hallie's words turn to ash and smoke. How does that feel? Roman asked. Like freedom. 2 years later, Junie started high school with a full scholarship to Lincoln Arts Academy. Her portfolio included dozens of drawings documenting her journey from victim to survivor. The community fund Lorna had started raised over $50,000 for Junie's education and therapy. Contributors included neighbors, teachers, hospital staff, and complete strangers who'd followed her story. I want to use art to help other kids, Junie told Roman. Kids who are scared and don't know how to ask for help. How? art therapy programs, safe spaces where they could draw their feelings instead of hiding them. Sounds perfect. Will you help me? Always. Roman's garage had become more than a business. It was a second chance factory. Troubled teenagers learned discipline, responsibility, and pride through honest work. Many went on to technical schools or apprenticeships. None went back to crime. Marcus, a 17-year-old former gang member, was Roman's star pupil. Why do you do this? Marcus asked one afternoon while they rebuilt a transmission. Because someone needs to. Because these kids deserve better than the hand they were dealt. But why you? You could make more money just fixing rich people's cars. Roman wiped his hands on a rag. Because I know what it's like when the people who should protect you don't. When the system fails and you're on your own. Your dad beat you up. No. But I almost lost the most important thing in my life because I trusted the wrong person. Now I help kids who are in similar situations. Does it work? Helping people change. Some people. The ones who want to change. The ones who are willing to do the work. What about the ones who don't want to change? Roman's expression hardened. They get what they deserve. Marcus nodded. At 17, he already understood that some choices had permanent consequences. Every few months, Clayton would update Roman on Hallie's situation. She's been written up twice for fighting with other inmates, Clayton reported during one of their coffee meetings. About what? Trying to be the boss. Doesn't like being told what to do. Sounds familiar. Her lawyer filed another appeal. Got denied again. Good. Roman, you ever think about forgiveness? Moving on. Roman studied his friend's face. You think I should forgive her? I think carrying anger for 15 years might eat you alive. This isn't anger anymore, Clay. It's certainty. Certainty about what? That some people can't be redeemed. That some choices are unforgivable. That protecting the innocent is more important than feeling good about yourself. Clayton nodded slowly. Fair enough. Besides, I did move on. I built a life with my daughter. Started a business. Help kids who need it. Just because I don't forgive Hallie doesn't mean I'm stuck in the past. What does it mean? It means I remember. It means I stay vigilant. It means I never let anyone hurt Junie again. On Junie's 16th birthday, Roman gave her a special gift. The title to the blue Mustang they'd restored together. It's really mine, she asked. Really yours. Bought and paid for. Junie ran her hands over the smooth paint, the chrome bumpers, the leather seats they'd installed together. Dad, this is too much. Nothing's too much for you, kiddo. But it must have cost. It cost time and love. That's all that matters. Junie hugged him tight. Thank you. For everything. For saving me. For believing me. For never giving up. Thank you for surviving. For being brave. For becoming the amazing person you are. I couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you could have. You're stronger than you know. We're both strong. Yes, we are. That evening, Junie drove her Mustang to Lorna's house to show it off. Lorna had become like a grandmother to her over the years, present for birthdays, graduations, and holidays. It's beautiful, Lorna said, admiring the car. Just like you. Dad and I built it together. He's a good man. The best. You know, I think about that night sometimes. When I heard you screaming, I almost called the police then. Why didn't you? Because I was scared. Scared of getting involved. Scared of being wrong. What changed? I realized that being wrong about abuse is better than being right and doing nothing. Junie nodded. I'm glad you found your courage. I'm glad your father found his. As the sun set over Lincoln, Roman stood in his garage looking at the frame drawing on the wall. The wolf and the cub. Protection and love. Strength forged in fire. His phone buzzed. Text from Junie on my way home. Love you, Dad. Roman smiled. 5 simple words that contained everything that mattered. He locked up the garage and headed home. To his daughter. To the life they'd built from the ashes of betrayal. That in 15 years, Hallie would be eligible for parole. But it wouldn't matter. By then, Junie would be 31. Independent. Strong. Free.by then, Roman would be 53. Still watching. Still protecting. Still remembering. Because some men never let go. Some scars don't fade, and as it made him sharper. The wolf would always stand guard over the cub. The burned landscape would continue to heal. And the last scar would serve as a permanent reminder that love is not forgiveness, love is protection. And protection sometimes requires the hardest choice of all, never looking back.